Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, the podcast. It's a big week for MLB The Show. Team Affinity, Season 1, Chapter 3, drops on Friday. But today, instead of previewing that, because they don't theme things super duper well anymore, I guess it's going to be Hyper Series 99s, but also, who knows? I'm not even going to bother wasting my time. I'll see the 99s as they come out. Today, we're going to talk about something that was controversial in the community last week. Instead of making a video on it right away, I again sat back, collected my thoughts, thought about all the things. And we're going to kind of give analysis and talk about the BR stuffs, the changes, the controversy in this podcast episode. That's the point of the podcast. We can have honest, open conversations. Of course, at any point during this episode, leave your thoughts on YouTube. Let me know what you think. We're going to approach this conversation from all angles and provide a fair, reasonable, but also critical opinion of the change. So let's firstly talk about what the change was. So on April 29th, there was a game update. Game update 7. It adjusted a few random things. Nothing overly significant. Except it did. And they didn't tell us about it right away. They erroneously, that's the word they used, left out a bit about Battle Royale, in which there are no longer predetermined BR reward paths. What does that mean? For years. Your first card in the reward path, so this year, the 2-win reward, that's silver, 75 to 79 overall card, dictated the path of rewards you would get. For example, before the first roster update this year, Griffin Jax, who is a Minnesota Twins reliever, always, I think, or almost always led to Mike Trout. Sometimes there are branching paths, but almost always it leads to Mike Trout. It was programmed that way. There are, and I will pull it up to show you if you're watching on YouTube, so with me, BR reward spreadsheets that you can see. So hold on, I have it up. We're going to look at it really quickly. We're not going to go crazy. Here you go. Shout out to swolf, twitch.tv, and goatrp. As you can see, let's go look at Griffin Jax. Griffin Jax led to Mike Trout. There you go. Jax, Fairbanks, Ozzy Albies, Edwin Diaz, doesn't matter, either one, and then Mike Trout. What did this lead to? Where am I going? Here we go. This led to people who are capable of going 10-0 or 10-1 with regularity, redrafting their teams until they got a predetermined run like a Griffin Jax or somebody else. There are others who lead to Mike Trout as well, or Shohei, or Mookie, or any of the expensive diamonds. And they would redraft until they acquired that run, and then they'd finish it out. They'd bankroll stubs, and then they'd use those stubs to complete collections, buy cards, etc., etc. There are so many different things we have to talk about with this. So many different things. By removing that, they have removed a primary stub-making method for players in this game. I know not everybody can go 10-1 or 10-0, but it still became a primary stub-making method in a year in which stubs are very difficult to get. It highlights what is seemingly a philosophy shift at SDS. Because it's been this way in terms of how BR has worked for eons, for years. And only this year, when no money spent is not the hardest it's been, but the least friendly it's been, did SDS step in and say, hey, we don't like that everybody's getting all these stubs. This is not the way it's supposed to work. Let's keep the 10-win reward a surprise, because we don't want you redrafting all the time. That's not what it's intended to be. My problem is not with the change. If their intention, honestly, if they're being honest, genuine, if their intention all along was for it to be a random path, they should have fixed it when they first realized it, which should have been years ago. I have no problem with the random path if that was the intention forever. If all of a sudden it's become their intention because people are making stubs from it, that's the problem I have. There are some people on Twitter, a lot of people on Twitter, who have said, good, it's an exploit to get all these stubs this way. It's not an exploit. If you're good at the game, you should get rewarded for the game. You should, if you are good at the game, you should get better rewards than people who are not good at the game. I'm not talking about cards. I think cards should be accessible to just about everybody. But stub rewards and XP, things of that nature, you should be rewarded for being good. That's how life should work. If you're good at something, you should get rewarded. You should get a raise. You should get a promotion. You should get things. You know? But this entire conversation, which has a lot of different opinions, and I want to hear all of them, because this is an important game ecosystem conversation. This underscores how, what's the correct way to say it? I mean, it's BR as a reward path, or as it's broken. It doesn't make sense. I'm someone who can go flawless. It takes about 3 hours from start to finish, assuming you play 10 or if 10 and 1, 11 games. It takes about 3 hours to do a full run. If I invest 3 hours into a run, why is my reward only in, this is an 87 overall guarantee. 87 plus. Do you know what 87s go for on the market right now? 87 live series? I'll show you. 87. I guess we'll just make it live series. We'll remove the overall cap. Okay, so. Zach Wheeler, he's an 89. 8K. Adolis Garcia, 88. 6K. Michael Harris, 6K. Kyle Tucker, 5,000. I hit the wrong button. My exaggerated point is now going to be ruined. Juan Soto, 52. Bobby Witt, 55. Altuve, 51. Bautista, 57. Look at how utterly crap the 87s are. The fact that I can do an entire run, and only get Marcus Semien is ridiculous. Now, I hear the people. I hear you. I hear you saying, but Kenny, if you're going flawless, aren't you also getting a flawless reward? Very good point. Because of the availability of these cards in programs, which I'm not against, make that clear. But because these cards are available in programs, their prices are basically, like, yeah, 77,000 stubs is good, for sure. But, like, remember when they were, like, 500,000 stubs? Because they weren't as available? Fernando Valenzuela is just a little less expensive. The real argument comes from when you go 10 and 1. Because 10 and 1, you should still be rewarded for. That should still be a stub-making method if you go 10 and 1. If I go 10 and 1, I'm not getting a flawless pack. I'm just getting this stupid 87 plus that might be Marcus Semien. So now I played for 3 hours, I went 10 and 1, or I guess by the time you know what that card is, 8 and 1, 8 and 0. And all your guarantee is an 85 or 86 overall player at 8 wins, which is worth 3 or 4K. So I have an issue with the timing of the change. The change should have been made at the start of a game cycle. They should have said, hey guys, we realize BR has been messed up for a few years. Starting in MLB The Show 25, this is how BR is going to work. Still not my favorite change, but at least I'm like, all right, it's the beginning of a game cycle. But by doing this in the middle of a game cycle, in a year in which it's become increasingly evident SDS wants us to open up our wallets and purchase stubs, it just makes it so much more glaring what their intention is. Or presumably what their intention is. The biggest thing that can make this okay, and maybe this is something that happens in the beginning of MLB The Show 25, or hell, maybe they'll do another patch mid-year. 2 wins, silver card. 5 wins, gold card. 8 wins, let's say 85 to 86 is still okay. 85 to 87, whatever. 10 wins should be a 50,000 stub voucher. No card. 50,000 stubs. You want to make it 100,000? Sure. I think a lot of the community would settle for 50,000. It is better than getting Marcus Semien. It's not as good as getting Shohei. It's not as good as getting Trout. But it is better than getting Semien. Split the difference and go 75,000 stubs. Why not? There has to be at least one skill-based stub-making method in this game. It's no longer ranked seasons because the cards are readily available. And again, I don't necessarily have a fundamental problem with that. Events used to be a pretty hefty stub-making method. Those cards are kind of cheap now. Especially because you can get rewind packs to get them later on. So no one is really in a rush to get them. Like, that's it. You don't make stubs in Conquest anymore because there's no packs in them, or hardly any packs in them. Mini seasons is a good grind, admittedly, the first time you play it, and then they removed significant benefits from it the second and third and, every time you replay. There's got to be one mode in this game in which you can make stubs. In my humblest of opinions. BR had been that for a lot of folks. I went flawless once this year so far. I've gone 10-1 3 other times. Shohei was one of those 10 wins. I think Seager was another. Like, I've had okay luck in the 10 wins. I've also redrafted a lot. I saw one really stupid comment when I posted the news about this last week on Twitter, saying it's because SDS is in your streams and hates watching you guys redraft. Why should SDS care how we, as the game's consumers, choose to spend our time? This whole game is about playing your way. I've heard them say, play your way, grind your way, do the thing your way. Why should they care if my 104,000 stubs in the top right corner, if I want to burn every single one of them on BR redrafts? They shouldn't care. If anything, they should encourage that, because I'll run out of stubs and then have to buy more. Just a thought. Just a thought. People on the internet seem to hate content creators, and I don't get it. I love this game just like you do. I just happen to have the passion and the free time to do this with my life. It's not also, I have a real job. This is not my entire life, obviously. I don't know why you hate us. We want this game to be good. We want it to be better for everybody. And for those of us who do have, relationships in some capacity with SDS, we reiterate all these same points to them, to their face. It's, at least the honest people do. This was a weird controversy last week. Because while I don't disagree with the change, I disagree with the timing, but it all underscores the fact that BR and the reward structure is silly. And it trickles into other modes. Like, let's go to ranked. Sorry, not there. I wanted to go here. 900, you get these World Series rewards. These World Series rewards right now are worth 34,000 stuff. There's no money to be had in getting these cards at any point because they're available. And again, I'm not upset with the availability. I think the availability is a good thing. I'm just talking about the shift in how stubs can be made or used to be able to be made. If you're one of the best players on this planet and you get 1,000 rating, you get a cool little icon and 10,000 stubs. That's it. If you get 1,100, you get 15,000 stubs and a 20 bundle. It includes a gold player item. Oh boy. 1,200, 20,000 stubs, a 50 bundle, which comes with a chase pack. In my opinion, you should be getting stub vouchers for more than 10,000 stubs for each of these things. Or you should be getting 50 bundles at each level. Reward your players who are good. SDS has a problem with rewarding its top players. I am not one of these type of top players. I've never reached 1,000, nor will I ever sniff 1,100 or 1,200. But the community at large seems to have a problem with rewarding its best players. Don't be jealous of the fact that they're better than you. If you were this good, you'd want the rewards too. By changing this up and giving rewards, valuable rewards to the top players, that doesn't throw the game out of whack. There are 99% more not 1,000 players than there are 1,000 players. The game will still operate at a level that lets those non-1,000 players, those non-World Series players even, do the things they need to do within the game. But it is ridiculous that the game's top players don't get anything in terms of rewards. Sure, they can compete for money, whether that's through SDS tournaments or the Tampa Bay Rays tournament or friendly wagers or non-friendly wagers sometimes with friends or rivals. But in what aspect of life are the best people or players not rewarded for something? It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. This is now turning into less a conversation about the BR change, which again, I don't necessarily have a fundamental problem with. I have a problem with when it was announced and implemented. It's just, what is the incentive to play this game anymore? Like, I am a massive baseball fan, obviously. That's all I play, really. But in today's day and age, and you could say it's a problem, it might be, but it is what it is. In today's day and age, people need to do X to get Y. They're not going to do X unless they get Y. So, once I'm done with this BR program, which I finish within a couple days because it's really not hard, and I'm not guaranteed stubs at a 10 win later on, I'm not playing BR. If you're not guaranteeing me Y, I'm not playing X. Rank seasons. Why have I never in my entire life had motivation to get past 900? Because there's no reason to do so. The icon, while it's cool, is an icon. It's visual. And in my opinion, the frustrations of legend ranked gameplay are not worth 10,000 stubs. That's if I even get to 1,000 rating. There is an incentive problem in this game. And it's not new. It's been like this for a few years. It's just getting worse. We are 6-ish weeks, 7 weeks into this game's life cycle, and I've only played 40 ranked games. 36-4, pretty good record. Thank you. Appreciate it. I've only played 40 ranked games. I make World Series, I stop. There's no reason to keep playing. As a player who's pretty okay. People who struggle, people who are not World Series players, and this is not me poo-pooing any of you. I hope you all enjoy the game in your own way. I hope you all continue to improve at the game. You'll probably inherently play more games because you're shooting for a new frontier that you've yet to reach. And that's fine. That's good. That's how you're able to complete programs, get these World Series cards through the programs, etc. But for me now, as a player kind of in that in-between, maybe this is my own personal problem. Maybe some of you have this same vantage point as I do. I feel like as if I have nothing to do until the next content drop. Which, it's Sunday when I'm recording this, and the next content drop, real content drop, is until Friday. Events are 2 weeks long, which I've advocated for, and I'm a fan of that, but I wish the reward path was longer. Why are we stopping at 35 wins? I got that in 3 days. Make it 50. Why not? Put a couple more packs, some stubs, some XP. Give me something. We are capped in this game significantly on what we can achieve and how we can achieve it. I don't think it's unfair to ask just for a little bit. And that's just kind of where my head's at. Like, I don't want people to interpret this episode as like super ranty. I know it sounds super ranty. I am not like, this is not like the episode a few weeks ago where we completely poo-pooed on the game. This is just me analyzing where we're at and how the game is functioning in terms of rewarding achievements. Going flawless is an achievement. There's a reason it's treated the way it's treated. If you achieve something like that, you should receive something more than an icon and a card that's ultimately now worth 70,000 stubs. I'm not asking for 1 million stubs. I'm not asking for 500,000 stubs. I'm just asking for a little bit more of a guarantee. Because otherwise, our enjoyment of this game is capped. Because if your favorite card is Ozzy Albies, who just came out as a chase card, and he's 200,000+ stubs, or your favorite player's Ozzy Albies, if you don't have the stubs, you ain't playing with your favorite player. And if you're good at the game, you should be able to get rewarded with the stubs to get the thing. Or if you do X, you should be able to get Y. That's my whole point. Do X, get Y. It seems that that's missing this year more than it has in the years past. So, let me know what you think. Am I off base? Am I unreasonable? Again, I see both sides of this, and I think both sides have a reason to be right. Again, maybe BR never should have functioned the way it was. And if that's the case, I support the change. What I don't support is a mid-year change. And what I don't support is making it harder for us consumers to do things within the game. You can't do anything in this game without stubs. They've taken away another method of getting stubs. Mid-year. That's upsetting to me. So I can see both sides. So I'm curious what everybody thinks. This episode or this conversation maybe doesn't impact a lot of people, because if people don't play BR, they won't care, and that's fine. I think you should still play BR, because the program's easy to finish, even if you lose every game. Like, you could still very easily finish the program. But I'm just curious of your thoughts. Let's have a conversation, a respectful conversation, because I think this is an important topic. Anything that touches on the game's economy and the game's ecosystem and the game's balance is important to talk about, because constructive feedback, both from content creators and from commenters and from Twitter and from the forums on Reddit and theshow.com, all of that gets considered. You guys think it just falls on deaf ears and you're yelling into the ether? I promise you you're not, because I can promise you people who work at SDS read those things and listen and monitor those things. All of these conversations are about making the game better for everybody. They are not about poo-pooing a game developer. They are not about discouraging you, the user, from doing certain things. They are not about putting down certain people who can't go flawless. Not at all. Not in the slightest. I just want this game to be better for everybody. So that's where I'm at. So thank you guys for making it to the end of the episode, because that's where we are. It is lunchtime. And I also have to work today, which makes me want to cry. So I'm going to go do all those things. So thank you guys. Let me know what you think, of course. Look forward to reading all the comments and having conversations. Love you all. See you next time.